There we go. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another 30-foot drop tapping in webinar. Tonight we are looking at webinar number 5 out of 6, and we're looking at accessible tourism and events and why it's worth your business investing in. Now, I will start off by saying that there is some really crazy stuff happening in the world right now, and I really hope that everybody is safe and as well as you can be. Okay? That being said, tonight is a really good opportunity for you to increase your knowledge. So, let's get into it. 30-foot drop acknowledges the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognises the continuing connection to land, waters and community. We pay our respects to them and their culture and to elders, all past, present and emerging. Must always remember that under this tarmac, concrete, this land is, was and always will be traditional Aboriginal land. We'd also like to acknowledge the Department of Communities Disability Services for funding this and many other initiatives like it. Without their support, so many projects such as Two Wise Monkeys would never actually make it off the ground, and as a result, we would be so much poorer for it. This workshop is part of the Realities and Advantages of Access and Inclusion grant, awarded to 30-foot drop as part of the Information Linkages and Capacity Building grants of 2018 to 2019. Okay, a little bit of housekeeping before we get underway. Obviously, I am currently transmitting from a different background. Like most people, I have taken my work home with me. So if you hear any background noise, that will likely be due to my family because I have one and I'm working from home. So please forgive that. Now onto the other housekeeping. First up, unfortunately, we don't actually have the resources to monitor all of our live streams during these sessions. If you want to ask any questions live, okay, so if you want instantaneous result on the live stream, please head to www.30footdrop.com.au/live. Okay, you'll find the link, a copy of the link there below. Okay, from there you'll find a chat box that you can use, and you can ask me questions as we go. It makes it really, really fun. Next thing up, we're going to be covering a lot of information in this session. So we recommend that anybody who is planning on being here for the entire session to minimise your distractions if possible. I mean, if you're anything like me, that becomes very hard because I'm working from home and we have families, you know, but minimise them where possible. And if you miss out on anything or you're not actually able to attend the entire session, fear not. We record every live webinar that we do, so that way you can go back and review it to actually pick up anything you might have missed, double check stats, or if somebody you know could really benefit from this, then you can actually just forward them the link and they can watch it. Okay? So you'll find all of these sessions have been recorded and put into the playlists on the YouTube and Vimeo libraries for 30-foot drop. The other internet bit that I have to tell you about is the 30-foot drop digital library. Okay, we're going to be referencing different studies and papers found tonight. Okay, so when we do, you will find everything that we can do, okay, or everything that we reference will be available on the 30-foot drop digital resource library. Okay, so you can head to the 30-foot drop live page, okay, and follow the links from there and you'll find the digital resource library. Not only do we have the papers that we're going to be referencing tonight, okay, there will also be other checklists, Australian standards interpretations and other things that you can use to actually help to make your workplace more accessible. And lastly, at the end of the webinar, we actually have a short survey that we really want people to fill out. Okay, this survey is 6 questions. It will take you about 30 seconds to fill out, and it really, really helps us to improve. Okay, so the best way to find that is head to the 30-foot drop live page, as I've said before, www.30footdrop.com.au/live. And if you go down to the bottom there, you will find all the links. And this is webinar number 5. So follow the links for that and answer the questions. It really helps us. Now that the housekeeping's over, allow me to introduce myself. I am Ben. I am your presenter tonight. And I am known as See No Evil. I am See No Evil out of the monkeys because I have a very obvious impairment. Okay, look at my hands. I'd say, no, look at my legs, but you can't. I'm sitting here in front of you in a wheelchair. I am quite obviously impaired. I quite obviously have a difference. Okay? But the thing is tonight is to teach you that you shouldn't feel any fear. You shouldn't speak any, or you shouldn't see any evil in impairment and people with impairment, because you recognise that they make such an amazing segment of the population for you to tap into as a business. My co-presenter, Lisa, is here no evil. Not going to ruin her story, but in short, she has a hearing impairment. Oh, sorry, she has a... No, she doesn't have a hearing impairment. I don't know why. Okay, I said hearing impairment because of that, but anyway, things are a little bit mixed up at the moment. So, she has an invisible impairment, okay, which is an impairment that people have that you can't spot immediately, okay? So, you don't know that they have an impairment until they let you know. And that's why she's hear no evil. Because by the time she's finished taking you through the webinars, you'll hear no evil about impairment. Here's a question for you though. Isn't there supposed to be 3 wise monkeys? Who's the third? It'll be you guys. Speak no evil. With the knowledge that you gain here tonight and with all the other webinars that we're doing, you will leave here speaking no evil about disability and impairment. So, how are we going to get you started on the path of the wise monkey? There is a lot to learn about people with impairment and the potential impacts on your tourism and events industry and how they can actually go ahead and do it. So, first up, we're actually going to have a look at the most recent Australian research so that you can understand the size of the accessible tourism market here in WA. Okay? And trust me, it'll shock you. It's actually a lot bigger than you'd think. Then we're going to actually break into the segment, actually have a look at it closer to figure out the characteristics. Okay, what defines this segment? What is it they're after? These are things that any business needs to know if you're going to start targeting another market. How are they the same and how are they different? And how can you target it? So we're going to have a look at that. After that, we're going to do a bit of an open forum session, okay? Because that is the information we're going to have tonight, because it is heavy, it is big. So after that, we'll do an open forum session, and I'll come back to that in a moment, okay? So how are we going to do this? What is our teaching method? How are we going to get this all done? How are we going to give this information to you? Well, here at 30 Foot Drop, we believe that education is best achieved through open, honest conversations, okay? And conversations require 2 sides. So, in order to facilitate this, really recommend that you guys go to www.30footdrop.com.au/live and use the chat box there to interact with us. It makes the day or the evening, so much better by doing that. Okay, so head there. Now, on top of that, when I said I'd come back to the Q&A part and explain more about it, well, here we go. Okay. When I say you guys can ask questions, I mean anything, okay? This is an Ask Me Anything style session where you can ask any questions. It doesn't have to be what's on tonight, okay? And I will answer you in an open, honest way, because if you don't ask the questions, you don't know. And this is a forum for you to ask the questions without worrying about insulting anyone, okay? So, that link again, www.30footdrop.com.au/live is essential. Now, before we dig into the meat of tonight, I need to go over some terminology because some of my usage of language will have confused you. Okay? I talk a lot about people with impairment instead of people with disability. I talk a lot about inclusion. You know, these things are all really important. So, I'm going to explain it to you guys in order to make sure that you are not confused and you can get the most out of tonight. So, the first bit of terminology that we're going to go over is the difference between disability and impairment. I'll start off with an impairment, okay? Because I've been talking about people with impairment. So an impairment is an injury, illness, or congenital condition that causes or is likely to cause a loss or difference of physiological or psychological function. To simplify that, your impairment is how you are different from what is seen to be the norm, okay? That is what your impairment is. So, for example, I am a C5 quadriplegic with post-traumatic stress in remission. That is my impairment. Okay, that is how I function differently to the rest of society. So that is how you define it. Okay? Now, a lot of people would think that that's my disability, but it's not. Okay? A disability, on the other, okay, where impairment is looking at how you differ, a disability is what stops you. Okay? So a disability is the loss or limitation of opportunities to take part in society on an equal level. Okay? This is often due to social and environmental barriers. So think about it. Think about the word disability. It comes from the word disable. What does disable mean? Well, it's to stop something from being able to work, being able to access something, being able to do anything. You disable something, you make it stop being able to do stuff. Okay? So a disability is anything that stops people from being able to participate. As an example, steps disable me from being able to access your business and spend my money. I hope that's made sense. If it hasn't, please head to www.30footdrop.com.au/live, okay, and use the chat box there to ask me any questions that you have about the content that we're covering tonight. The second bit of terminology that we're going to cover is the difference between access and inclusion. So, often people talk about access and inclusion as if it's just one thing that can easily be ticked off, but it isn't. Access is completely different to inclusion, okay? And here's why. So access refers to the removal or reduction of barriers, both physical and attitudinal, to the participation in the activities and functions of a community, okay? At its core, access focuses on the physical world around us, okay? It looks at very easily measured, okay? It's objective measuring. It's being able to refer to Australian standards, look at the world around you and say, yes, that meets it, or no, it doesn't. Okay? Very easy to measure. As a result, many businesses and organisations only focus on access. Okay? But that is only one half of the equation. The other half is inclusion. Okay? So, where access focuses a lot on the physical world around us, inclusion is a lot more psychological, okay? So inclusion is the process whereby every person, okay, who wishes to can participate fully in all aspects of activity or service in the same way as any other member of the community. Okay, it's knowing that you're going to be able to turn up to a place and that they are going to include you and that you are going to feel a part of it. You're not going to feel separated, you're not going to feel segregated, okay? Now, inclusion as well, it's not just impairment specific. Okay, inclusion itself is such a wide-ranging subject. So when I say every person, okay, every person. So I'm talking every person irrespective of age, impairment, gender, religion, sexual preference, or nationality. Pretty big. Okay? It's a lot bigger. So, hopefully this makes sense. If not, and you have any questions about it, please head to www.30footdrop.com.au/live, okay, and enter any of the questions that you have on that page, okay? From there, you'll also find the live stream as well, so don't worry about missing out on content. Head on across. But for now, let's dive into accessible tourism and events and why they are worth investing in. Okay, so because we're working here in WA and we're focusing on Western Australia, our biggest tourism region is the southwest, okay? Especially when we're looking at domestic travel. As a result, I'll be focusing a lot on the southwest with this, but the same principles apply for any other region in WA, okay? So these stats I'm about to read out, they've come from the Southwest 2017 Visitor Fact Sheet, okay? And they've also come from the Economic Contribution of Tourism to West Australian Tourism's regions, okay? These two were both released in 2017, and they were both produced by Tourism WA, okay? Which is the leading peak body here in WA. So that's where they've come from. And you'll find them in the Digital Resource Library, as I said before, okay? So, to give you an idea of the size of the market here in the southwest, okay, on average, during the 3 years from 2014 to 2016, the southwest region had on average 2.49 million visitors per year. Okay, this is people who are coming down here for a holiday. This is tourists who are coming down for events. Okay, these are people who are using the tourism and events goods and services. 2.49 million. Okay, that's a lot. Every visitor who came down here stayed on average for 3.6 nights. Okay, that's, once again, big. Okay, so a lot of people coming down and doing this. The direct and indirect contribution, okay, to the southwest economy from tourism was 14%. When you consider the amount of other streams of income we have here in the southwest, from resources to farming and everything in between, that's quite a big number. But it gets even bigger when you consider that almost 20% of jobs here in the southwest are due to tourism and events. Okay, almost 20%. 1 in 5. Now, these stats sound high, but you know what? They're not the highest in WA. Coral Coast, their percentage of the economic contribution, okay, is up around 20%. Their jobs is up around 25%. Okay, this is big. We have many regions that rely very heavily on tourism. Okay, so that's how big it is down here in the southwest and for a lot of the rest of WA. Okay, so that's the tourism industry as a whole. Now we're actually going to have a look at the accessible tourism market. Now these stats that I'm using have come from a report called Accessible Tourism in Victoria and Queensland, and it was written by Tourism Research Australia and researched by them as well, in conjunction with each state's tourism departments, so both Victoria and Queensland. Okay. Unfortunately, there is no research that focuses on West Australia as a whole. Okay, that's just unfortunately the way it is. There isn't enough demand for that research being done. But this report looks at Australia as a whole, which is really interesting. And also, due to the similarities between Queensland tourism and WA tourism, I've actually extrapolated the figures out so that we can get an idea of what it is we're looking at here in WA. So, this study estimates that the size of the accessible tourism and events market here in WA, the number of people who require these things in order to go on holiday is 7%. These are the people who directly need these goods and services. Apologies for that. Yes, okay, there we go. It's all working again. So, 7% of people are the ones who actually require the accessible goods and services. But here's the thing, that 7%, like most Australians, rarely holidays alone. Okay? When I go on holiday, I will go with my wife and my son. Okay? But I'm the one that needs the accessible goods and services, so we're going to go to a place that needs it. Okay? So once you've actually factored in average party sizes for tourism, okay, so you've got an average of 2.45 for overnight travel and 2.62 for day trips. Okay? Once you factor those in, the real number of people who require accessible goods and services is 17%. Okay? That is my wife, my son, and myself going on holiday. We need those goods and services. It's only me that needs them, but we're all going to use them. We're not going to go on a holiday without them. Okay? So that's actually quite a big number when you think about it. Suddenly the 7%, which you can just, it's a minority, suddenly becomes so much bigger. Okay? It's not just people like myself that you're aiming for. So here's a funny one. The estimate of annual expenditure for the segment, okay, comes to approximately $8 billion Australia-wide. Okay? $8 billion Australia-wide. Now, if you extrapolate that down into WA, we're looking at $916 million WA-wide and $163 million here in the southwest. Okay? That's how much accessible tourism affects the southwest economy. It's $163 million. And this is going off figures from 2018. Okay? So that's the size of the accessible tourism market. Now, the problem is, and what is, well, it's a problem, but it's not. What's really encouraging for so many business owners, okay, is that this 17% and the $916 million WA, there is a massive potential for growth. Now, why is that? Okay, it's because there is a segment of Australians with an impairment, and this includes adults who are caring for a child with impairment, who are currently not travelling. Okay, there is a segment of these people who are not travelling, okay, but who likely would travel with certain industry improvements, especially in the areas of accommodation, transport, and technology. Okay, in WA, this segment is estimated to be around 34,000 people. 34,000 people who are currently not looking for tourism and events experiences. Okay, that is huge. And that 34,000, that's estimated to be worth an extra $225 million per year. Okay, so look at the math. Okay, currently worth $916 million, has a potential growth of an extra 225. That's huge. Okay, that's somewhere between 20 and 25% potential growth within a market. Okay, try and find another market like that. Good luck. So, that's the market and the potential growth of the market. Okay? Now, in order to access this, you need to understand the market. Okay, there is no point in trying to design something without understanding the market you're going to. Okay, any good business owner knows that you need to modify your approach. So to help you out with that, okay, we're actually going to have a break into it. Okay, we're actually going to look at it and look at their needs so you can better understand what it is they're after. Okay? So we're also going to be looking at some other interesting outcomes of this particular. Sorry, just looking at the camera. It's getting pretty dark behind me, but looks like you guys can still see me fine. So we're also going to have a look at some of the similarities as well. So some of the differences, bust a couple of myths, and look at the similarities. Okay, because accessing this market is going to be a lot easier than you suspect. So although people with impairment generally have lower incomes than average for the population as a whole, okay, so on average, they have a slightly lower income, they should never be considered low income earners. Okay, now there's two reasons for this. Okay, the first one is that more than 1/4 of those who are identified as having an impairment are in the top two income brackets, which is a disposable income of over $900 per week. Okay, so yes, while some of them may be earning slightly less, there are those out there who are earning more. And the second reason that they should never be considered as well is because of the introduction of the NDIS. Now, the NDIS has had an amazing impact on the community. Suddenly, goods and services that were required by people with impairment in order to live a normal life, some of them were not being paid for by the state governments. West Australia is an example of that, where there were certain things that were not being funded. So people had to fork out of their own pocket in order to pay them because it was needed. The NDIS has made it so you can get these things funded. So although the pension has not increased, or although their income has not increased, their expenditures have decreased, which leads to a increase in disposable income. Interesting, huh? So that's the first thing. Okay. The next one is, what is it that this market need? What is it that they're after? Now, the Accessible Tourism Survey found that approximately 55% of this segment, so that 7%, okay, just over half of them have a mobility issue. Okay, that is why they need the accessible goods and services. Okay, because they have a mobility issue. Now, this includes people who use mobility devices and those that have difficulty moving more than a short distance. Okay, so first up, don't assume that people with impairment don't have any money. Second up, the best place to spend your money is probably going to be on physical access, becoming accessible to those with mobility issues. So when I said before that there is a segment that are not currently not travelling, okay, of that segment that do not travel, 23% said that it's because it's just too stressful, and 22% because it's just too hard. Okay, so that's the next way you can target this market. Okay, is that you can look at ways of making it easier for them to be able to go on a holiday. Now, when you think about the experiences, there are a few different ways, or there is a few different steps that people have to go on holidays. Okay, they have the research stage, they have the planning stage, and they have the actual holiday stage. We'll be covering all three of those in tomorrow's webinars, which Lisa will be covering for you. Okay, so that's the third thing. We need it to be made easier in order to do it. Now, like most Australians, travel by this segment is mostly for leisure. Okay? Now, I love a holiday, but not as good as anybody else. Okay. Sorry about the rustling in the background. That is my dog getting himself comfortable in a beanbag. Hey, got to do what you got to do, don't you? So they travel for leisure, but it was noted that visits to friends and relatives is often preferred because knowing the layout of the accommodation helped with planning and resulting in a less stressful trip. Okay, so this is going back to the point before. Okay, needed to be easier, less stressful. What are ways that you can help us at the planning stage if you want to attract this market? Now, as I said, we'll be going over some methods, tips, and other bits and pieces tomorrow. But for now, okay, let me assure you that although we've pulled out some differences and some things that need to be changed, there is a lot about our market segment that's the same. You don't have to change everything. Okay, often it's a slight tweaking of your services. Okay, how do I know this? Well, let's have a look at the stats. So, first of all, travellers with impairment, okay, they share many characteristics with a broader population. For example, the tools used in decision making, okay, they are the same as the rest of the population, with internet search coming in first and word of mouth second. So, you don't need to change your marketing. Okay, your marketing channels can stay exactly the same. It's not like you need to put a whole load of effort in to go to a completely different marketing channel. You're probably already using these. Okay? You like to look at them too. The next is the fact that reconnection and unwinding are core needs for all Australian travellers. And this is just as true when it comes to travellers with an impairment. Okay? We work hard, we play hard. We want to be able to go on holiday and relax. Okay? Approximately 40% of travellers with an impairment sought to meet these relaxing and unwinding needs through either more active or more emotionally or intellectually stimulating experiences. So if you are a business that already offers these, then you don't need to change your core business. Okay, we're after these same experiences. It's just after slight tweaks to these businesses. Although travellers with impairment also do slightly fewer activities, many of the experiences that we participate in match those of the broader travel population. Okay? Things like eating out, visits to the beach, nature, cultural experiences. These are all things that people like to do on their holidays, and this market of people with impairment is no different. Okay? Apologies for the banging and clanging in the background. Okay? So we like to do the same things. So once again, if you're already offering these things, it's not a problem. Go with the same stuff. And lastly, people or travellers with impairments tend to stay in the same types of accommodation and visit the same destinations as other travellers. Who would have thought? We want to be included in society. Okay? We want to be able to all go to the same place. That's what we're after. So, you know, it's easy. If you already have a tourism business that's flourishing, why not make it better? Why not actually adapt things so you can include people with impairment in your business? So, before I finish up, one question that I have had, okay, is what are the age demographics for this population? A lot of business owners, and myself included when I first started looking into this, assumed that the market of people who need this particular service are the older ones, the people over 65, the retirees. I was shocked when I found out that looking at these stats, only 14% of people who took part in this survey were 65 and over. Shocked, but very encouraged as well. I'm 35. I have a family. I like to go on holidays. Okay? And that's the truth of it. We all want to go on holidays. And if you have a way to make my trip easier, then I'm going to use it. I'm going to tell my friends about it. Anyway, that is the meat of what we have tonight. We're going to do a little bit of an open forum session. Now, for those that aren't hanging around for the open forum session, thank you very much for hanging around. Please, if you get a chance, fill out the survey. Head to www.30footdrop.com.au/live. Okay, scroll down to the bottom there. This is webinar number 5. Okay, so that's where you've got to head to. For those that are hanging around, okay, this is the open forum session. This is where you can ask me anything. So what I'm going to do is give you guys about 5 minutes to chuck in all the questions that you have, and I'll come back on and answer them honestly, openly, and hopefully educate you. Catch you in a little bit. And we're back. Okay, let's have a look at whether we got any questions. Let me bring that back up. There it is. Okay, so on the chat. And alright, so unfortunately it looks like we haven't gotten any questions tonight, but you know what, that is all good. Guys, the world's crazy out there. Look after yourselves, look after each other. Stay safe. Do what you can. Okay? And see you next time.